Hi guys, it's Julie from Yes It's Paper Creations, and as promised I'm here to do another album using the Lacey Lines cutting files. I had a lot of video issues with that, the first series of videos I did with this, so I will do another one. This one I'm going to do on black paper for the background, and then I've got this Craft Smith paper, and this is called Marrakesh, and it has just beautiful papers. This nice, easy design. This one here I'm hoping I can use on small, like a small flip page. And some feathers. You can see I've already been cutting. And again, some nice medallions or mandalas. Very pretty paper. And then this gorgeous gold with the beautiful blue flowers. Again, just something nice and plain and easy. Something else quite simple. This one, I'm seeing hearts in here, which is really quite neat. And more flowers. And the gold and white again, which is very attractive. More flowers. And then this neat kind of grid. I don't know what you would call that, but it's neat. And again, more flowers, and I love my polka dots. And larger flowers, which might, maybe a full page. And then the cut aparts. So that's the paper we're using. For the main base, I have used Hobby Lobby heavy duty paper, and what I've done for this album is I have increased each of the main base pages. So page 1, I've increased them by ½ inch, so that will give more space in between, because this one was really packed tight. So page 1 will be 9.75 by 6.5. Page 2 is 10.2 by 6.5. And page 3 is 10.7 by 6.5. So I believe this is about 80-pound paper. But the rest of the pages I will be doing just with a 65-pound to eliminate bulk. So with doing this, we will also have to change the size of our spine. Something else I wanted to tell you about this. Oh, for the smaller, like for the flip pages and pockets and this sort of thing, whenever I do an album, I save all of my scraps. So I've got a whole pile of black scraps here that I will be able to use to cut pockets and flip pages and all of that sort of thing. So never throw out your scraps. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I've got my pages done. I just cut these out by hand with just a cutter. So for page 1, it's going to be 9.5 by 6.5. Page 2 is 10.5 by 6.5. And page 3 is 11.5 by 6.5. Now the only 12 by 12 heavy card I have is my American Crafts. So it does have a texture on one side and one side doesn't, but I don't think that's going to make any difference at all. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take each one and we are going to score it at 4.5. And then turn it around and score it at 4.5 again. And we're going to do the same thing with all of them. So the only thing that's getting larger is the spine. So 4.5. And better start up here. 4.5. this way. That'll work better. There we go. 1.5 and 4.5. Now what I'm going to do, before I fold this, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to place it at the 1/2 inch right in front of that score line. And I'm going to draw a line. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one, which is page 2. So page 2 and 3. Now you can do this a different way. You can find your center. There's my center ruler. Well, this has a center on it too. So what you can do is find your center. So, which would be right there. And then you could put a mark here and then do the same at the other end and then line them up that way. But what I'm going to do one reason I cut these out by hand is because my cutting machine is acting up. It's not cutting square. Like with this being 6.5, at this end it'll be 6.5, and at the other end it's short of 6.5. So I figured these are easy measurements, so I'll just do it by hand. Not that that means it's perfect by any means. Okay, so we will start with page 3, which is the largest one, and we're going to take this side and we're going to glue it right up against, right on top of that score line, and then that's going to give us 1/2 inch on both sides. So I think what I will do is use wet glue, and this is the Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear. Don't lose your pin. I've lost one of mine, and I bought stainless steel ones at Michael's, and well, they turned out to not be stainless steel, and they did end up rusting into my glue. So this is my little petri dish that I use to keep my blending tool in. So I'll just keep it in that tray, and then I won't lose it. So let's get this glued up. Want to be as close to the edge as you can get. You don't want to go over. You don't want a bunch of overflow, but you want enough glue on here so that it's going to stay in place. And what I love about this glue is how fast it dries. Okay, so we can just lay that flat. And we will put it right up to that line. Give it a good burnish. Even cutting it by hand, it's not perfect. I always do a bit of trimming. So there there's those pages, and now we're going to do the same with this one. And once my little metal tip there got the rusty glue in it, I couldn't get it out. So I had to buy a new tip as well as a new pin. Okay. Again, we'll just put it right up at that line. You won't even see it. Okay. Good burnish. There's a wee bit of pencil there, so I'll see if I can get that out. Oh, where's my eraser? Oh, there we go. Simple as that. Don't see any there. So that gives us the pages for our album, and we have 1/2 inch in between. So that will make the album, of course the spine is now bigger, but it will give you more space so you can do more layering and add more stuff to pockets and whatnot. I'm going to do expanding pockets, not on everything, but like on a full page pocket, I will do an expanding pocket. So that's that. Quick and easy. And the only adjustment you will have to make is your spine when you are doing your cover. So we'll do that together. But because this is still 4.5, all of your pages are the same. So you don't have to change pockets or flip pages or anything like that. They're all the perfect size. So I'll go away and cut out some stuff for page 1, and I'll be back. Okay, so for the first page, I've decided I'm going to put a flip page on the right side. And yeah, so it'll be like that. And then on the inside, I'm going to have a side pocket. So let's get these scored. And these are all kind of bendy because I used a new mat. When I start a new project, I try to use a new mat each time. So it's a little bit sticky, therefore it doesn't pull off the mat really nicely. And there's my cutter acting up again. I've recalibrated it, but that doesn't appear to have helped much. Okay, I'll get these guys done. So for this one you need a flip page and a small side pocket, I believe is what I've called it. So they'll all get scored at the 1/2 inch. And because these are done by hand, some of them may not be exactly at the 1/2 inch, so you'll just have to make sure that your corners match up. So you may have to pull it away from here and line it up. So you can always just line it up on one of those lines, or that's why I draw lines on here so that I can line it up. Okay. So, and there's some blue on the back of this, but it's going to have a, I'm doing it that way. Yeah, a mat. Okay, and these papers I've used scraps. When I do albums, I keep all of my scraps, and I use primarily 8.5 by 11, so I have this whole big bag of scraps. So I use what I can out of there for making my pockets and flip pages, and that minimizes how much you have to use of other glue or other papers. I just caught the edge of my mat here. I'll have to attach it back down. Okay, so we'll do our pockets. Get that end glued. A little bit of glue there, just enough to hold it. And then I always check, whoops, to see if I have any little nubbies here. And then if I do, I just take it off. That one looks pretty good. Okay, so this is the flip page. So it's going to go here. And then this is the pocket, so it's going to go right here. So I like to keep it away from the edge here, and it should be just a tad bit shorter than the actual page. So we'll just put some glue on. When I'm doing a class, I use the tape because it goes a lot faster for my students. So they're not here for 10 hours. So, lay that flat. And give it a good burnish. Get that glue spread. Okay, and this. And we will get this glued on to there. Get it right on that edge and right on this edge. Oops, that's nowhere near the edge. Go back up. There we go. You have to make sure you get it right on the edge or it will not close. Come on. And this glue can be unforgiving. Okay, we need more glue. Okay. There we go, that should do it. Yeah. And we have a bit of room there. It's not right up against it. Okay, so I have this for my mat here. And then this, excuse me, is for, and this is a partial mat, which is in the cutting file. And it'll go in there like that. Get these two on. I have noticed with this particular glue that if you use a finer paper, then you will see your glue lines, even if you burnish it. So I had a much lighter weight cream cardstock, and you could see right through. Well, I'll show you, whoopsie, what I had started here. You can't see it with that or that. Where is it? There it is. I don't know if the camera will pick that up or not, but you can actually see the squiggle line down there. And the same here. So you have to be careful with your glue and your paper. But I always like to add cardstock, coordinating cardstock. This cardstock, I don't know the name brand. I purchased it at a yard sale, so I do not know what it is. But it's quite heavy, and it's not a linen pattern. It's almost like a check pattern on it. It's really quite attractive paper. There's the pocket and the mats, and I got this one for this page. I don't know if this has an up or a down. Don't think it does. Could always use, let's see, if you have an ATG gun, you can use that to put your papers down, or any other kind of glue. Glue sticks work. My only issue with this glue is it dries so fast. And I'm not always the quickest. If you've seen any of my other videos, then you know I have issues with my glue. And this piece for the front. And I know already I'm going to have leakage. That's glued. Okay. And this one has a very narrow border. But of course, as you know, if you have a cutting machine, you can adjust your cutting files. So if you want a larger border on the outside, you just have to make that a little bit smaller. So there's page one. We have the flip page and a pocket. Something I've been thinking about is one of the elements in this kit, do I have it in here? Yes, is this. Now I'm thinking of trying to do this the full size so that it's like a pocket like that. So I'm going to try and cut one of those out, probably at 4 1/4 inches maybe for the width, and I will keep proportions on, so it'll probably come like that. So I'm going to cut one of those just to see what it looks like, to see if I want to add to this. I'll be right back. Okay, so here's what I've done. I cut out the corner piece at 4 inches for the width. And then I did a large mat for it. Or I guess you'd call it shadow layer is what they call it. And it came up at 0.5 and then I just hit the up arrow once. And that's what I came up with. So it fits perfectly in there, width-wise. And it'll make a nice pocket. So you could even use it without the decorative part on top. Now the way the shadow feature works, because this has a slight corner, this one became much more rounded. So I'm just going to round that off with a corner rounder. That matches it up a little bit better. So I think I like that. So I'm going to ink around the mat. Again, I'm using my Ranger Archival ink, jet black. And of course, you don't have to ink. I especially like it with patterned paper because you're getting rid of the white edge of the paper, whereas this is solid cardstock, so really it doesn't need to be inked, but since I'm inking everything else, I'll just ink this too. And I always keep a piece of paper here for the little flakes that come off of the blending tool. So we will get our glue on. At least with this ink you have the nice fine tip and you can get these lines. Or you could just put dots in the larger sections. You don't have to go completely crazy. Okay, so I will center this on here. I think that looks pretty good. And give it a press and a burnish. And of course, I've got some sticking out. That just wouldn't be me if I didn't have a little bit of seepage. I'd probably fall off my chair if I ever managed to not get some seepage. I love my little cutter bees for picking up stuff like that. So now what I'm going to do is just put a bit of glue just around the edges, and then we'll put it on, and that will be a pocket. So you don't always have to use a pocket to make a pocket. That in the bottle so I don't lose it. And now that it's down, I'm thinking I should have had it the other way, but I think it'll be easy to get something in and out of there. Okay, so pocket, pocket, and flip page. So I will decide what I'm doing for pages 2 and 3, and I'll be back.